Yesterday, we said an AI just predicts the next word over and over. But that raises a sneaky question. What exactly counts as a word to the machine? Because it turns out the AI doesn't read letters the way you do, and it doesn't even read whole words. It reads something in between, called tokens. And once you get tokens, a bunch of confusing AI stuff suddenly makes sense, like why it costs what it costs. Welcome back to AI in 5. So here's the key idea. Before the model does anything, it chops your text into little pieces called tokens. A token is usually a chunk of a word. Sometimes it's a whole short word. Sometimes it's just part of a longer one. The model never sees your sentence as one smooth string. It sees a row of these chunks, and that's what it actually thinks in. The flow looks like this. You type a sentence. The system splits it into tokens. Then each token gets swapped for a number, because deep down the model only does math, not language. That row of numbers is what goes into the model, and the answer comes back out the same way, as tokens that get turned back into text for you to read. Splitting, then numbering. That's the doorway into the machine. Let me make this concrete. A common little word like the or cat is usually a single token, but a longer or less common word gets broken into pieces. The word unbelievable might split into on, believe, and able. Even spaces and punctuation get their own tokens. So the number of tokens isn't the number of words, and it's definitely not the number of letters. It's its own thing. This is also why AI sometimes flubs a question that feels stupidly easy, like how many R's are in strawberry. To you, that's just counting letters. But the model might see strawberry as two chunks, straw and berry. It never really looked at the individual letters at all. It's not dumb. It just literally doesn't read the world one letter at a time the way we assume. Okay, so why should you care? 3 big reasons. First, money. When you use these AIs through an app or an API, you're billed per token, both what you send and what comes back. Second, limits. Every model can only handle so many tokens at once, and that cap is counted in tokens, not words. And third, speed. More tokens means more little steps, which means a slower answer. Tokens are the hidden meter running in the background. You don't need to count tokens by hand, but a rough rule helps. 1 token is about 4 characters of English, and 100 tokens is roughly 75 words. So a full page is somewhere around 500 tokens. Just know the rule bends. Code, symbols, and many non-English languages get chopped into more tokens, so the same idea can quietly cost more depending on how it's written. Here's how to actually use this. If you're paying per token, a tight, clear prompt is literally cheaper than a long rambling one. And in a long back and forth, every previous message usually gets sent again each turn, so the cost creeps up as the conversation grows. None of this should make you stingy, but knowing the meter exists helps you work smarter, not harder. So that's the secret unit underneath every AI. Not words, not letters, but tokens, the little chunks the machine reads and the meter it charges by. Once you see them, the costs and the limits stop feeling mysterious. Tomorrow, we'll put this to work and talk about prompts, how the way you ask actually changes the answer you get back. See you tomorrow on AI in 5.